favorite YouTube channel. I'm here today to show you how to make this super cute and easy beginner shell blanket. The other day I was in need of a quick blanket for a friend of mine, and I have this really great Red Heart sweet yarn, and it is a bulky weight yarn and it's a lot of fun to work with. It's really fuzzy and it works up really fast, right? So I started thinking to myself, what are some of the stitch patterns that I really like to do, that I gravitate towards when I crochet? And of course I really like a basic shell stitch. So I put the two colors of Red Heart Sweet together and I created this really great and fun blanket. This is a free pattern on my website, marleybird.com. You can find a link to the pattern and all the materials that you need right down there in the video description box below. While you're down there, smash that like button, as my kids say, so that other people know you enjoyed this video. What I want you to do is go get that free pattern, grab your materials, and jump in with me. I'm going to show you how to make this really fun blanket the size that you want it to be. I'll give you the stitch multiple, I'll show you how to do the stitch pattern, and I'll talk to you about the border. Super easy and fun. So go ahead, go get your stuff and get started. As I mentioned, the Red Heart Sweet yarn is a jumbo weight yarn, meaning it's going to work up really quickly. This entire blanket took me just under 2 hours from start to finish. It takes 4 balls of yarn, that's 2 balls of each color, so 2 balls of the purple, 2 balls of the cream, and that's all it took to complete this full project. So what I want to do here is I want to talk about how to get started here with the stitch pattern, how to work up through one repeat and change colors, that you know how to change colors. I want to show you how to add a new ball of yarn, because you're going to add it a little bit different than you would a typical acrylic yarn. And then we will talk about the really simple border that I added. Really easy, really fun, so let's go ahead and jump in. I'll move the blanket aside, and I am going to use this yarn today. This is Red Heart Sweet, and the colorway is teal. Pretty simple. When I was working with the Red Heart Sweet yarn, I found it easier to pull from the outside of the ball. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm just going to find my end here on the outside of the ball. Once you've got the yarn ready to go ahead and put the tail in the palm of your hand. Take the working yarn, wrap it around your forefinger and middle finger, and when you come back up, cross over. When you rotate your hand around, go ahead and go underneath the front loop, grab the back loop, and pull that off. What you've done here is you have made a slip knot. You will take your hook and place it directly into that slip knot and separate the 2 legs of the slip knot, so that way this piece actually tightens up to the hook. What you want to do now is you want to chain a multiple of 3 plus 2. So we are going to take our hook and going from left to right, we're going to go around, and we're going to use our hook portion to pull it through the loop that's on our hook. So we will use this and pull that loop through, and we've just created 1 chain. This is our 1 chain. So if we do that again, yarn over, pull through, go around, pull through, go around, pull through, go around, pull through, go around, pull through. I want to pause right here and I want to show you how to count. Because this is a beginner video, I'm going to take a little bit more time on some of these steps than I would in other videos. But as you're looking at the chain you've just created, you can see it looks like little V's right here, correct? So you're going to count those V's, because those V's are a chain. So there's 1 chain, 2 chain, 3 chain, 4, 5, 6. You never count the loop on your hook as a chain, okay? So you will never count that stitch. So right here I have 6 stitches going on, which is great, 6 chains. When I say you need a multiple of 3 plus 2, that means you need to continue on making sure you have a multiple of 3. So if we have 6, we could stop here if we wanted to, but we want to keep going to make it a little bit bigger. If you want the specific measurements of this blanket, you can look at the pattern for that. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get up to 12. So that's 6, 7, 8. As you're going along, if you take the pad of your thumb with the hand you're not working with and move it up along the edge of this chain, it actually makes it really easy to keep your chain from turning. So I am just going to keep going here because I've already lost count, but it will give me a chance to go back and count again to make it easier for you. So here we go. Let's do it one more time. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now, when I said we have to have a multiple of 3 plus 2, so I have my extra 2. So there was 12, and then here's my plus 2. So that's my multiple of 3 plus 2. And we're ready to move on to the next row. For the next row, we are going to work single crochets and chain stitches. So we will begin by putting a single crochet in the second chain from hook. Remember, I said you will never count the chain on your hook. So we want to count. Here's one chain, and here's the second chain from the hook. And what I want you to do is take your hook and literally just put it directly into that chain. I don't care if you go in just to the top loop. I don't care if you go in to where you have both loops. It's totally up to you. All right, so I'm going to go through both loops because I like that. Once you put your hook in there like so, you will yarn over just like you did when you did a chain, and then pull that yarn over through that chain you went into, okay? So now I have 2 loops on my hook. This is the beginning of a single crochet. So what we want to do is we will yarn over our hook one more time. And just like when we did our chain, we will pull that yarn over through the one loop, but now we have 2 of them, so we'll have to pull it through the second loop. So that's how you complete a single crochet. All right, we're going to do that again here in just a minute. But our next step is to do 3 chains. So just like we did chains before, I'm doing my chains the exact same way. 1, 2, 3. You see that? 1, 2, 3 chains. And now I need to skip 2 chains of my foundation chain. So when I'm coming down here to my foundation chain to look and find my stitches, I want to make sure I am not counting the chain I already worked into. Can you see it's right there? So if I'm going to skip my chains, I need to skip this one because that's 1 V. I need to skip that one, that's the second V. And in the next one, that's where I will put another single crochet. So you ready? Here's how we do it again. Take our hook, you go into the chain, take your yarn, and you yarn over your hook. That's what this is called, is yarning over your hook. And you pull that yarn over through the chain, okay? So you pull it up, make sure it's not too tight, make sure you have a good, it's loose a little bit. Your hook is able to move in that stitch. Now we need to complete the single crochet. So we will yarn over our hook and pull that loop through both of those loops on the hook. And that is a single crochet. Now we are going to repeat that action, okay? So that what we just did here, the chain 3 and the single crochet, is a repeat. So that means we will continue doing that until we get to the end of the row. So no matter how many stitches you have, as long as you have the multiple of 3 plus 2, this repeat will work. So the repeat is chain 3, so we will yarn over our hook and pull through 1, yarn over our hook, pull through 2, yarn over our hook, pull through 3. So we've chained 3 chains, and now we have to skip 2 of our foundation chains. Remember, we don't want to count that one that we already worked into, so we're going to skip this one right here, and we're going to skip this one right here, and we'll find the next one. Can you see that? So we skipped 1, we skipped 2, we're into the next one. We'll do a single crochet. So I put my hook directly into that chain, grab my yarn here, and this is where I will do a simple yarn over, pull that yarn over through that chain. So I have 2 loops on my hook. Then I yarn over my hook again, and I pull that yarn over through both of those loops on my hook. Okay? Both of those loops on my hook. That's a single crochet. So this next one I'm going to do quicker, okay? So let's see here. We will start with our chain 3. We chained 3. We'll skip 2 chains, so skip 1, skip 2, working into the third. I will do a single crochet, so I go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, draw through 2. We have to do another repeat, 1, 2, 3, skip 2 chains, so skip 1, skip 2, go into the third chain, which is my last chain, so I go into it just like I normally would, do a single crochet, so I yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. And that's how you do a single crochet. So at the end of this row, if you have done 12 stitches plus 2 like I did, your work looks a little something like this. If you have went ahead and chained the full amount for the blanket, yours is a little bit larger, but you have something working along here. Now what's going to happen now is when you go on to the next row of a pattern, you have to essentially, it's like taking a step up to the next row, and that's what the turning chain acts for you, okay? So when we create these chain 3s that we're getting ready to do, that allows our first stitch of the next row to be the same height as the stitches we're going to use on that row. So that's where, if you're a knitter, this is where crocheting is a little bit different than knitting. Where in knitting, you would just turn your work and start knitting back. With crochet, you have to get those first stitches the same height as the stitches you're going to work in that row. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to go on to working some double crochet shells, okay? Now, I want to put this out here because I know this is a beginner video. When we talk about shells, a shell stitch pattern in crochet can be anything that the designer wants it to be, in the sense that I'm going to be showing you a 3 double crochet shell stitch, but if you come across a pattern in the future and it says work a shell stitch, you want to make sure you're looking at that pattern and realize what the shell stitch is for that pattern, because it could be 5 double crochets, it could be 3 half double crochets, it could be a double crochet chain 1, double crochet chain 1, it could be any sort of multiple that creates that really pretty shell look. So don't think that the term shell is a universal term in the sense that it means the same thing every time, because it does not. And so that's my little warning here. I want to make sure that is pointed out, especially for those of you who are beginner crocheters. I don't want you to automatically think, oh my gosh, Marley showed me how to do a shell, now I could do all the shells. Well, in theory, you can do all the shells, but they all might not be the exact same way I'm showing you today. All right, so here we go. We're going to move on to the next steps. We're at the end of our row. So we want to chain 3. Now, whether you turn your work now and chain 3 or chain 3 and then turn, it's totally up to you. It doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this chain 3 right here gives me the same height as the double crochets we are going to use. And one of the great things about this is that this chain 3 counts as a stitch. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab a stitch marker, and I'm grabbing a nice big stitch marker since this is big yarn. And I want you to take your stitch marker, and in the chain that's right below the chain on your hook, I want you to put a stitch marker right through that, okay? What that's going to do, it's going to let you know that that's the end of your row. So this will help you make sure that your your blanket has nice straight edges, okay? So that's the end of your row. That will be important. I've chained 3, I've marked my 3rd chain. Now I need to turn my work. Because I want to begin to work on the fabric I've already created, going back this direction, I need to turn my work. So the first step here is that I will double crochet into this very first single crochet. So you see the single crochet we created before? Can you see where, let me see if I could do this. If I put my finger right there, see that space? That's where I want to put my hook. And when I do that, if we look at the top of the stitch, see how it looks like it's a V? Just like when we were working into the chains, we created the V's. So when you put your hook into your single crochet, this is what you should see. You should see sort of this V. You're going through both loops, okay? Now, so we want to do a double crochet right there. So what we need to do is you will yarn over your hook to start. So we haven't done anything yet. We've yarned over our hook. We will come over here to this space. We'll insert our hook into that space. We will yarn over our hook into that while it's in the space, and then pull up a loop. Okay, so far we have done the same motion that we did with single crochet. We've just created a double crochet, and now we have 3 loops on our hook. So what we want to do is yarn over our hook and draw through 2. Now we want to yarn over our hook and draw through 2. So we're left with 1 stitch on our hook, or 1 loop on our hook is what I want to call it. And we've created a stitch here that's double the height of the single crochet we did before, and it's theoretically the same height as the chain 3 that we started with. Okay, so once you have done that, you will now come over here, and in this chain 3 space that we created, so we did all those chain 3s, we are going to put our hook directly into that whole space. We don't want to worry about going into actual stitch. We're going to put it in that whole space. Yarn over, pull up a loop, okay? See how that works? So now we're going to complete our single crochet. So we yarn over and draw through 2. Now what we have to do is we are going to create our shell stitch right here into this single crochet, and we will put 3 double crochets into this one single crochet. So what I want you to do is yarn over your hook, go into that single crochet just like before. See, let's see here. Can you see? There's the V, so I'm going into it just like before. I will yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. So I have placed 1 double crochet into that single crochet space. I want to put 2 more double crochets in that same space. So I yarn over my hook, go into that same space, yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. So now I have 2 double crochets in that space. I want to do 1 more. So yarn over my hook, go into that same space, yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. You see how that works so far? So this is our repeat, the single crochet into this chain 3 space and the 3 double crochets into this single crochet. We will repeat this into all of our stitches until we get to the second to the last single crochet. And then we will end with a single crochet in this space and 2 double crochets down here. So let's get down there and get to that part. So we've just finished our 3 doubles into the single. We want to put a single crochet in this big space. And now we're back to our 3 double crochets into the single crochet. So I yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So that's 1 double crochet. Yarn over my hook, go into the stitch, yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. So that's 2 double crochets into that one stitch. So we have to do 1 more. So I will yarn over my hook, go into the space, yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. Get some more yarn here. So I've just placed 3 double crochets into that one stitch, and I have to carry on. So I place a single crochet into this chain 3 space. So I yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and I'm back to the single crochet right there. So I'm going to do my shell, which consists of 3 double crochets into that same stitch. And I'm doing a little bit faster now because we've gone really slow here for the first few, which is totally okay. I want to do that for those of you who are beginners. And I've just placed 3 double crochets all into that single crochet. Okay. Now I have this chain 3 space, so I will do my single crochet there. And I'm here to the end. Now here at the end, I want to place 2 double crochets into this single crochet. And the reason I want to do that is because I want it to be a mirror image of how we started this. So I'm placing 1, and here's my second double crochet. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, you only did 1 double crochet at the start. But I want to remind you that even though we started with 1 double crochet into this single crochet space, we also did this chain 3, which counts as a double crochet. So that's like 2 double crochets here, and we ended with 2 double crochets here. Can you see how that works? So this is the start of the pattern. What will happen now is we want to change colors. So we are going to change colors at this point. And I'm not going to cut my yarn here. I'm going to go ahead and I want to float my yarn up for this particular piece. The reason is the final edging will actually tuck away the floats, and it makes it a lot easier so I don't have to weave in a lot of ends. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back and I am going to undo this last double crochet I completed. All right, so now I still have one double crochet there, and I'm going to partially complete the second one. So I'm going to yarn over my hook, go into that last single crochet again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and this is where I normally would yarn over with this yarn and draw through 2, but what I'm going to do is yarn over with a new color and draw through 2. So let's grab this other color here. This is just the gray color. Pull out a length of yarn here, and this is going to be our new color we're using. So all I do is I have the tail of my gray just kind of hang out. Make sure I leave a nice long tail. And instead of yarning over with my teal, I will now yarn over with my gray and pull through the 2 loops on my hook. What that does is it places the gray loop on your hook so it doesn't have any color bleed as we start this row. And it also finishes this teal so it doesn't have any gray down there in the teal area. I will let the teal yarn here just hang out. I am not going to mess with it, and I'm ready to move on to the next row. So the next row is virtually the exact same thing that we just did, only instead of working into the beginning chains, we're going to work into the established stitches. So what we're going to create now on these next 2 rows we're completing is our row repeat, meaning we've already learned our stitch repeat. Okay, I was pointing those out, how you would repeat the chain 3s and the single crochet and chain 3s and single crochet. And then we also would repeat the shell stitch and the single crochet, the shell stitch and the single crochet. But now this is where we have our row repeat. So every 2 rows we will change colors and repeat again, again, and again, and again until the blanket is the size you want it to be. Okay, so here, let's go. Let's start on here. The first stitch of this row is a single crochet. So I need to yarn over and pull through a loop. So we have 1 chain. And this 1 chain is my 1 little step so that we are jumping up to the same height as the stitches we're going to create on this row. I will turn my work just like I did before. And I'm going to totally ignore my teal yarn. Okay, I'm just going to have it attached there and I'm totally ignoring it. What we want to do here is we will place a single crochet into this first stitch here. So this is the last double crochet we completed. We're going to place a single crochet right there. So we go into the stitch. See how I'm through both loops. I yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. So a single crochet, just like we've been going all along. Now I will chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And this time, instead of skipping 2 chains and then working into the next, we want to skip all of these stitches, and we are going to go into the top of the middle double crochet here on the shell, okay? So if you can see here, this was 1 double crochet, this is 2 double crochet, this is the 3rd one. We want to work into this middle one right there. We're going to put a single crochet right there. You can think of it as it's directly on top of the single crochet from 2 rows below. We're going to place it right there. So I will go into that stitch. See, there's my V just like before. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. So I've just done a single crochet. So we have a single, chain 3, single. So here's our repeat. It's the chain 3 single. So we will repeat. So we chain 3, skip all of these stitches. We want to find the center double crochet of our shell over here. So it's right there. I go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. We have another repeat because we have more stitches than just 1 on here. Skip all of these, come over here to the center double crochet, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Chain 3. Skip all of these stitches. Oh, but Marley, we're at the end here. I don't have a center one because remember we have these 2 doubles. Here's what you're going to do. Remember when I had you mark this stitch? That's because that chain that we have marked there, that's where we want to place this single crochet here at the very end of this row. See how convenient that is? You don't have to worry. So in the stitch that you have marked, go ahead and put your hook through that chain stitch, okay? So I'm literally working through the chain. I don't want to work through the space. If I do that, I'm going to get a big gaping hole. So I'm working through the chain, just like I did at the start, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Check that out. How cool is that, right? So that there helps me know where that last stitch is. Very helpful. So now we're going to work up to the next row. And to do that, we will start off with our chain 3. Remember, this is like a stair step so that we get to the same height as the next row. I want to move my marker up because as easy as it was down here to know where it is, I want to make sure I have that same ease. So I'm coming up here, I chain 3. I'm going right underneath the loop on my hook. I'm placing the stitch marker right into there, so that way it's ready to go again, and I turn my work. Okay, so on this row, we are going to repeat this exact same row we did. So this first chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So now we will place another double crochet into this first single crochet. So I yarned over my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now I need to put a single crochet in this big chain 3 space. So I go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. And it's time for me to do my shell stitch right here. So I'm going to get some more yarn. Let's move some of this yarn out of the way here. Okay, so to do our shell stitch, we yarn over our hook, go into the single crochet. See, I'm in the single crochet. Yarn over, pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. I need to do that 2 more times, so 3 times total, and that will give us our shell stitch. Our shell stitch for this pattern consists of 3 double crochets all into the same stitch. See that? So we have 3 double crochets all into that same stitch right there, that single crochet. Now we have to do a single crochet into this chain 3 space. So remember, I'm going into that whole space. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Now I will do another shell, so I yarn over my hook, going into this next single crochet. I go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. I'm going to do that 2 more times. So there is 1. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to have to get some more yarn here. I'm on the last double crochet of that shell. Do a single crochet into that chain 3 space. Do another shell right over here. And I want to make sure, again, I'm placing 3 double crochets all into that single crochet, and that creates the shell I am creating. Just like so. I want to do a single crochet in the next chain 3 space right here, single crochet, and that brings me to the end of my swatch. Or if you're at the end of your blanket, what you want to do, you want to finish off with 2 double crochets into this last single crochet. So there's 1 double crochet and 2. Now remember, on this second double crochet, I'm going to pause right there because we want to change colors again. So what is convenient about this is our yarn that we want to change colors to is still attached, right? I told you not to cut it, so it's still attached right there. And I've partially completed my second double crochet. This is where I normally would yarn over with my gray and pull through. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my teal from down here, bring it up here, and yarn over with my teal. When I do this, I want to make sure that this area here, this is called the float, I want to make sure I'm not pulling it just like that, because see how that cinches up my work? I don't want to do that. I just want to make sure that it's floating up so that it's a normal distance without altering the side of my blanket. Yarn over my hook and pull that new yarn through the 2 loops on my hook. So now, just like before, I have the teal on my hook, my gray is uninterrupted, and my gray yarn is still attached here, just hanging out. This float that's on the outside right here, that will be tucked in with your border. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to just let that hang out there. It'll be just fine, all right? So we're going to let that hang out there, and we're ready to move on once again with our repeat. So for our next row repeat, it would be exactly what we just did with this gray yarn. We'll start off with a row of single crochet, chain 3, single crochet all the way down. And then the second row would be the the shell stitches and the single crochets. Pretty simple, right? So what I want to do here is I want to show you how you would join a new ball of yarn using this Red Heart Sweet yarn, because it's a little bit different than you would add a new ball of yarn. It's different than just changing colors. I want to show you how to do that. So let's do that next. You've used one ball of your main color and one ball of your alternative color, and it's time to add a new ball of yarn. Because the Red Heart Sweet yarn is constructed a little bit different than a typical worsted weight Red Heart Super Saver, we can add the ball of yarn in a unique way, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Take a look down here. What I have down here are just 2 lengths of the Red Heart Sweet yarn, and what I want you to notice is the construction of the yarn itself. It is made up of 2 plied fibers that hold together the polyester in between them. So if I were to pull on this polyester right here, it actually comes unwound from the plied fiber, and I just get the little tufts of polyester. So what's great about this is if I do that for a certain length of way so that I just get the little plied fiber here, I can actually tie this plied fiber directly to the plied fiber on here. So let me show you how to do that, or maybe plied fiber is not the right word, plied string. So I'm just getting a little bit here. I just want to have enough that I can use to tie onto. And again, I'm just taking little bits at a time, and it will come undone like this. Now, once you do this and you do it correctly, your work is very secure. So this is not going to happen on your actual blanket unless you leave a bit of your tail unsecure. So you can see here, this is just the cut raw edge of the sweet that I cut. I am pulling off the polyester portion from the plied string. See that? I'm getting a little pile here of the fluff. And what I want to do is I chose 2 different colors so that way you could see how they're going to join together. But if this was your actual project, of course you would be joining the same color together, so it would be virtually invisible. All right, so let's get just a little bit more and make it easier. All right, so that's probably about 2 inches, maybe a little bit more, and you could do more if you wanted to. But this is all we're doing. This is a lesson in tying a knot, okay? So I am placing 1 fiber over the next, so I have 1 string over the next, and I am just going to tie a knot. Literally just tie a knot. So I'm just yarning over, tying a simple knot, and as I pull them close, can you see how they butt up just like that? See how cool that looks? So they're all nice and tight together, and I want to make sure that I keep them that way. So this is where it might get a little bit tricky. You want to make sure that they stay snug on the first pull, but then the second pull, just like any knot, that's what really keeps them nice and tight. And this string is polyester, so it's nice and strong, so give it a good tug. And I'm just making it just a little bit more secure here. And what I have is a really beautiful join of the 2 fibers. Can you see that? With these strings, I could keep them long and weave them in using a sewing needle into the actual fabric, or I can feel secure enough to cut them nice and short, just like that, so that way they're tied in there really nice and tight. But that's how you would join a new ball of yarn to the Red Heart Sweet. Isn't that cool? Super simple. Now you know what the stitch multiple is, how to do a stitch repeat and a row repeat, and how to join a new ball of yarn as you're working along. The last thing you need to learn how to do is the actual border, which is really simple. So let me show you how to do that now. Before we begin with the border, we want to go ahead and weave in our ends on our actual blanket. There shouldn't be too many, given that you've joined your work using the technique I just showed you, but the ends that are still hanging out, I want to show you how to weave those in. Let's see how to do that. Once you've finished your project and it's time to weave in your ends of the Red Heart Sweet yarn, it's really not so difficult. The first thing I want you to do is work on the wrong side of your piece. So you want to make sure you have the wrong side of your fabric facing you. The tails that are hanging out, if you've left a nice long tail, at least 4 to 6 inches, which is what I always suggest, go ahead and use your hook to kind of thread that tail through some of the stitches just to weave it in a little bit. And you'll see here I'm literally just going through actual stitches just to pull it in and out, okay? So it's all right if that fuzz comes off right there like I just did. You'll notice I am going through the same color of stitch as I'm working with the yarn. And I've just threaded through a couple of stitches here. And once I've done that, what I like to do is I will snip this so that I get about 2 inches left. Okay, so I have 2 inches. And the nature of the sweet yarn is that it is made up of 2 strings that hold together the polyester inside those strings. So as you start to just pull away gently the polyester, the 2 strings of the yarn become revealed. And so that is what I want to see. I'm actually pulling away the fiber so that I can get to that string. And what I am going to do is I'm going to use that string and I'm literally going to just tie a knot just with the string around the yarn here. So I can separate these two if I want. And I will just use my hook here and I'm going to tuck in here and I'm just going to grab that string to pull it out. So now I have 1 string on either side and I'm literally just going to tie a knot just using the string. And if I pull it nice and tight enough, it is invisible. And I just did 1 loop there, so I want to make sure I tie a knot again. Give it a nice tug, and you could do it 1 more time if you choose. What this does is it really secures the yarn that we have kind of woven in. It secures it in place and it eliminates the yarn from becoming unwoven or unfuzzed because we've already taken off the extra fuzz and locked it off. Once you've done that, you can snip that little tail just like so, and your work is nice and secure. I'm going to show you how to do that 1 more time. This particular piece, I've already woven it in a little bit, but let's go in just a little bit more. So I'm just going to pop over here and let's pull that through just like that. And I want to go ahead and start taking my fiber off of this. And it's literally that easy. Look, I just pull this off and there's the fuzz. So this makes it really visible. Or it's a real life demonstration of how important it is that you really weave in your ends well enough, because if you don't, your work is going to just unravel like this and the fuzz is going to come out and be everywhere. But if you do the securing of the yarn like I'm showing you, you will have no problem. And you just want to take little tufts at a time so that way it can unspin. You can see here, you'll see 2 strings that are plied together. And the 2 strings themselves are plied with two things of yarn. And let's see here as I keep going. I'm almost to the end of this one. Here we are. So this one, we're going to do this one a little bit differently. So I left a longer tail here this time. So let's do a hitch knot. So for a hitch knot, what I'm going to do is I will put my hook underneath one of the loops wherever I want it secured. And I'm going to hold this like loop right here. So when I pull my tail through, I still have an opening. See, I have this circle opening. And I'm going to take my tail, I'm going to thread it through that opening. Okay, so it's like I've pulled it through that opening. And this is called a hitch knot. So if I give that a nice tug, I get a nice little knot right there. So I can do that again. Put my hook in and pull my tail through. Pull my tail through that loop, just like so. And I create a hitch knot. It's kind of hard to see on camera, which is great because the same deal happens here in the studio. It's hard to see. So once you've done a hitch knot 2 or 3 times, however many times you want to do it, I feel like this one needs 1 more time. So I would do it 1 more time. Again, you see here, I'm just pushing that tail right through that loop. And I'm going to give it a nice pull so I get a nice hitch knot. And again, this is really nice and strong. This is polyester. Once that is done, I can snip my tail and my project tails are nice and secure. If you secure your tails in this manner, combined with the way I just showed you how to join a new ball of yarn, your blanket is going to be uber secure. You're not going to have any problems with it unraveling. Once you have all the tails woven in, it's time to do the border. So let me show you how to do that now. Once all your tails are woven in, it's time to really start the border. And so the only thing we are going to make sure of when we do the border is that our stitches are evenly spaced around, and when it's time to make sure that we grab our float, we do that. So let me show you how to do this. As you take a look down here at this swatch, you can see I'm looking at the wrong side of the fabric. And how I know it's the wrong side is it's the side that I typically would have done my single crochet chain 3s on, okay? So that is my wrong side, and that's how it's written in the pattern. I want to go ahead and join my yarn with a slip stitch into the top of the last double crochet I created. So what I want to do is I'm going to find the actual stitch, which is right there, place my hook inside of it, and I'm going to grab a new color of yarn so that it's easier for you to see what I'm doing here. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, so now I have one loop on my hook, and I yarn over and draw through that one loop, give it a nice good pull, and that joins my yarn with a slip stitch. What I want to do now is I'm going to chain 1, and just like I did before, I will place a single crochet into that same stitch. Okay, and just like I did before, I will chain 3. So far, it's exactly like we've done before. What will be different is when we get to the edge. So I've just chained 3. I will do a single crochet in the next center double, chain 3, go to the next center double, chain 3, and right here, just like before, I want to work into the third chain of my turning chain, which is right there. So I will go into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and do a single crochet. Now here's where things are going to change a little bit, because now we want to rotate our work so we're working along this edge, but we want to make sure we get a nice curve here. So what I want you to do is chain 1, rotate your work 90 degrees, and now I will put another single crochet into that same stitch. So essentially, I've turned a corner. Okay, so I did a single, chain 1, and then a single, all into that same stitch. Now I will continue on doing my chain 3, so 1, 2, 3, and I will skip all of these stitches, and coming down here, this is like the post of the single crochet that we had created, okay? So that looks like it's the last stitch of this color of those 2 rows, okay? So you see that? I want to go into that stitch, it's the single crochet, and I am going to single crochet into that. Then I will chain 3, just like before, skip all of this, go into the last stitch. For this one, it just happens to be the final of our row because I only did 2 row repeats. And I will go into the single crochet here at the end here also. So I go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, and draw through 2. So I would continue that on where I do the chain 3. It's like it extends over those 2 rows of that color, and then I did a single crochet. And then I did a chain 3 to extend over that color, and then I did a single crochet. You would do that till you get to the next corner, that's where I am right now. So again, I want to make sure I'm creating a corner just like this. So I did a single, I would chain 1, rotate my work 90 degrees, make sure my yarn is here for me, here we go. Rotate my work 90 degrees and put a single crochet into that same space. See? So I've turned my corner right there. Just like before, I will chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And here's where things get a little bit different because now I'm at my beginning foundation row. See this? This is our foundation row where we did a single crochet, we skipped 2, we chained 3, then did a single. So what I want you to do is we are going to skip all of these stitches and we are going to work into the loop that is available to us below the single crochet that we created before. So right here, I did my turn. I'm going to skip all these stitches, and there's my loop that's available beneath that single crochet right there. I'm looking at my work upside down. So I will put a single crochet into that loop, okay, just right there into that loop. And then I will chain 3, skip all of this, and here's the single crochet right there, and there's a loop available. See that? So I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. You might have 2 loops there, you might have 1 loop, whatever it is, just that's the space you want to go into. Chain 3, you'll do this all the way down your foundation row. There's my loop, it's right below that single crochet, you see it? And I do a single. Chain 3. When you get to the next corner, once again, you want to make sure that we create that nice pretty corner. So here I am, I'm going to come over here. So this is my final loop right there, okay? It's right there. So I will go into that, place my single, chain 1, rotate. Remember, you're going to rotate 90 degrees, and then place my single into that same space once again. So I have a nice corner right there. Now, just like before, going back up this direction, we are going to do our chain 3s that skip over our color of our rows, our 2 rows. We'll do a single into that space. Again, it's the first, so we are going to skip this teal. We'll put a single right here where the teal and the gray meet, so we'll put it right there. And then we would skip all of this, continue on down the edging of our blanket until we get to our starting edge, okay? So let's do our chain 3. Get some yarn here. So 1, 2, 3. Skip all of this, come up here. It's right here. It's at this join. If you need to go into the teal, go into the teal. If you need to go into the gray, go into the gray. Make it consistent. Whatever you're going to do, just make it consistent. Okay? And then chain 3. And you would do this all the way up till you got to the final edge, which is where we are here. And remember, we started with a single crochet, right? So we will go into that same space where we did our first single crochet, do our single crochet, chain 1, rotate our work, and we will join with a slip stitch. So in the top of the single crochet we just created, I'm going to go into it, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop directly through. That's called a slip stitch. So I've completed the first round of the edging. The next round of the edging is really simple. We're just going to do single crochets all the way around. We'll put 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets, and we will place 2 single crochets into each of the chain 3 spaces. When we get to the corners, we want to make sure that we put 1 single crochet into that chain 1 space of the corner. Let me show you how this works. So we're right here. We're going to go ahead and do our chain 1. Remember, we have to jump up to that next level for the next piece, and we're going to turn our work. Okay, so we have turned our work. See how this works? And we are going to continue going back this direction. So whereas before we started off working down the long edge, we're going to start off working down the short edge this time. So I'm going to turn this so I'm working down the short edge. And I need to make sure I put a single crochet in this first single crochet that I just worked into. I'm going to put a single crochet in my chain 1 space. Let me see here. My chain 1 space is right there. Yarn over, pull up, yarn over, draw through 2, and I have a single crochet right there. Remember, this is our corner. So there's our corner. Now I'm at my chain 3 space. I want to put 2 single crochets there. So there's 1 and there's 2. You'll notice that I'm on the edge for this particular piece that does not have the floats. I don't have a float here yet, so I'm not worrying about the floats. But when it's time to worry about my floats, I want to make sure I grab my float and work it into those stitches. So let's get over there so that I can show you how that's done. I just did a single into the top of that single, and now I will do a single and a single, so 2 of them, into that chain 3 space. I'm to my corner here, so I have a single right there, so I will place a single crochet there. I'm going to go ahead and rotate my work now. I have my chain 1 space right here. Can you see that's the corner chain 1 space right there where my finger is? So I want to place a single crochet right there. I have a single crochet right here. So I'm doing that, and that's my turn. Okay, so I'm keeping that as my turn. Then I continue on with my 2 single crochets into that chain 3 space. See that? And a single up here. And then 2 singles here. So there's 1 and 2. And a single into the single crochet. 2 singles into the space. There's 1 and 2. Single into the single. Pretty simple. This is a very simple border, but I thought it looked really good with the actual stitch pattern. Let me get some more yarn here. And then I will place 2 single crochets in this space, which brings me to the next corner of my swatch. So I'm to the corner here, so I want to make sure I do a single into the single, a single into the chain 1 space, and a single into the next single. So that's my corner, okay? I'm leaving my corner like that. So as I turn my corner here, I actually just had to add some floats, that way I have them. When I made this little swatch, I forgot them. So what I want to do here is I have this float. I want to make sure that I'm pulling the float up right next to the chain 3s here. And when I do my single crochets, I want to work around the float and my chain 3s. So that way now my float is tucked up right next to my chain 3s. And then when I go on, I work my single crochet into the single crochet. And then here's another float. I made it the purple color so you could see it. I would bring my float up, and I just want to crochet around my float and my chain 3s. Okay? And then I would carry on. So now I'm at my corner, so I want to make sure I do my single in my single in my chain 1, and then my single in my single. Can you see that? So these floats get pulled up into this single crochet space. And if you're able to, the best thing to do is to try and make the float kind of fit to the back of the single crochet space. That'll be in the back side. But it's a great way. It won't be as pronounced as it is right here just because of these colors. It'll be nice and hidden. So then as you turn your work, let's see here. Let's get to the end of this so I can show you how to finish this off. So I have my last section here. And I'm back to where I started. So I want to do a slip stitch join to the first single crochet here. So I'm going to go into my single crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull that through. Okay, so that's my join. I would like to do a chain 1, finish off your work, and then pull that through. You can see the fuzz is already coming out. We know how that works. We already know how to weave in those ends. So as that pulls snug there, we then can take this end and weave it in just like we did our other ends. Same with this one. With this one here, I would make sure that I pop it to the wrong side first. So I'm going to just pop this, just bring in my hook in there to pop it over there. And I'd weave it in on that side. Have our 2 tails woven in. And you have a nice edging to a blanket. So let's take a look at the original blanket. As I bring in the original blanket here, I want to show you how the edging looks. It's a nice big fluffy blanket. So here's my simple edging right here. Let's see if I can put my hand here so you can see. This is where I did the chain 3s and the single, and then you can see here I just have singles right in those chain 3 areas. Let's look at the other side where the floats are so you can see how those work up. Like turn this enough. So right here, you can see my float is just floating right up there, but I tacked it in with those single crochets. And I did the same thing with the white right there. Here's the purple, it's there. But it just put it in there. And it made it so much easier so I didn't have to weave in a bunch of different ends, which is typically what you would have to do if you're doing some piece of a striped color work piece like this. So here it is. This is the beautiful sweet blanket. It's super squishy and super fun. It's great for beginners. It's great for seasoned crocheters just to kind of sit back and relax and do something really super fast. Hopefully you will get to make one for somebody you love soon too. It doesn't have to be baby size. Again, you can make it whatever size you want as long as you use the correct stitch multiple of 3 stitches plus 2 at the very end. So 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and then 2 more. As long as you do that, follow the repeats, both the stitch repeat and the row repeat, you got this made. I hope you enjoyed this video and you'll come back here for more videos all about knitting or crochet, all taught by me, brought to you by Red Heart Yarns. I will see you later. Bye! Hey, when you're over there getting the pattern for this free blanket, make sure you check out some of the other free patterns I have available on marleybird.com. There's something there for everyone I'm sure you're going to enjoy.